Now, people always get in the wrong argument about art. Art does not mean good or well done or any of those kinds of descriptors. Art is something made by a human and called art by that human. Then you can move on to what's important in the values and the quality of construction. That's the stuff that really matters, not whether or not it's art. The little kid makes something and says art. Well, if the kid old enough to tell you it's art, if he is, then it's art. But you know what isn't art? When they get you on the Today Show early in the morning and, oh, look, an elephant did this. Oh, the monkey did that. It's not art because whatever creature made that has no ability of making a decision and choosing what to discard. And they're only going to show you the best. Maybe the monkey did one that looked good and 4,000 other ones that didn't look good. But you're only going to see the good ones. So that's not art. Might be pretty, might be attractive. It's not art. And you know, archaeologist digs up something and its intended purpose when that culture existed was perhaps some kind of praise of one of their gods or something like that. It wasn't art. He didn't make it to be art. He made it for a different reason. It may be beautiful, maybe a wonderful thing. It may have all kinds of things that it teaches you about that culture, but it's not art. Art has to be made by a human and it has to be called art by that human. And you know, my first sculpture teacher said he wouldn't accept a piece in class if he couldn't take it up the side of the hill and roll it down the hill and have it be in just as good a condition at the bottom of the hill as it was at the top. That really emphasizes quality of construction.
Question?
No.
I've got one question.
Yeah.
The boxes that you have here and that Lazy Susan that you have that represents art, there is, I know that there is a category, especially that box that you have on the top there, that a lot of artists, they've got a name for it, and I'm trying to search for it in my own brain. That box contains a message that the artist is trying to convey to people, but it's got a certain name. It's not a portrait, it's not painting, it's objects inside of a box.
Well, a lot of this is my impression of things. As I said, with the piece from the Chinese garden, that's my impression of the Chinese garden. The whole rest of the world might look at it and not see that.
Right, but I mean, there's a category in art what they perceive that as, we call it.
Are you talking about mixed media?
Mixed media or impressionism or
Are you asking for the category?
yes, category.
Yeah, this is assemblage. It's all found materials and then assembled. It talks to me when I'm building it. It tells me what it needs and where to put it. And sometimes, particularly on a painting, I'll stall out. Okay, I don't like this. Sometimes if I really don't like it, I throw it away. And sometimes I just leave it waiting for me. And I come back and I've changed, it's changed, something's happened. And it turns into something I really like. I don't expect what I think these things do and say to be what you think they do and say. And if you look at it and say that's disgusting, but for you it's disgusting. You know, and who can tell you those things aren't legitimate? Okay, now this is I picked some El Grecos for religious art because El Greco, the Greek, actually painted in Spain, and some experts some years ago figured out that this was not a style that he had. it was an eye problem, and that the things he painted really looked like that to him. But it's divinely inspired, and I really believe in divine inspiration. I know that on a very mundane level, I ask God for help all the time, and rather amazingly, God hears, and I'm grateful for that in my life. Now this again, this is El Greco, and yeah, if you kind of like fuzz up your eyes, or if you're wearing glasses, take them off, and just look at the color, the pieces of color that he has here. You know, it's a triangle here, and you just see the different thing. But then when you come into focus, you say, okay, it's to the man here, but it isn't. It's paint. It's flat. There's no dimension to it at all. Right? It's just somebody very good at making us believe we see the third dimension.
You ever find dimension in that?
Oh, it's flat.
It's flat. What
The
is it?
surface is
The
actually
surface is flat.
But it gives illusion of
It's not
three dimension.
It's
The
not even-
illusion is 3 dimensions.
Well,
The
what-
fact is 2.
What's wrong? Because his eyes were, so what's off?
Well, people are lengthened, stretched out, the heads often don't go with the bodies.
But if you notice the paintings, obviously they're not realistic. They're, I think, Western men of Spaniards.
Yeah.
And obviously Peter and Paul, are they Spaniards? No, they're not. They're Jews. So Jewish people look different. But I mean, oftentimes a painting itself is an expression of what the artist, his experience.
Or what he wants, what he thinks that he can do to convince you that he's done that.
Right.
So, at this time, it's around 1500, I think. Probably somewhere around 85% of the population of the Western world couldn't read or write. So they got much of the religious teaching from artwork. Now this one in particular, I mean, I just love this. And then you get this itty bitty head. But that's a great painting.
But if you notice the color of Jesus, the royal color, red,
Yeah.
it shows his messianic,
Yeah,
who he is,
but-
the status.
Yeah, but it's got a Spanish soldier in his armor over here. You know?
Yes.
Jesus didn't quite hang around long enough to meet that one.
No.
This one really emphasizes the figure and how he's changed it.
But there's also, I mean, if you go back to it, the way the body is shaped, there is fluidity to it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it just,
Almost like the bones were soft.
everything is,
Yes.
and it just be the way, as I was doing art appreciation, they said, the artist tries to draw your eyes to a certain point, but it will drift around, but always bring you back to
That's the
the
idea.
center of what you want to be looking at.
Yeah. This comes down and then comes back up. And these two push it back over here. One of the most important things in paintings is balance. And what you're talking about is a balance. It keeps the eye in there. You could take the same figures and just put one different thing almost anywhere, especially if you put it on this side,
Right.
and it won't read the same at all because it's taking your eye right out of the picture.
What are the skulls that he speaks? Do they see the?
And those things,
Because they have wings.
yeah. There's a lot of copying and a lot of things, but artists are inspired by each other too. I love to go to a show or a gallery. I get new ideas every time I do. And a lot of times it's not something I want to do, but it kind of leads me to something else. It's a great line, isn't it? This was interesting because this mural was done at some point. It was decided to cover it up, and it was forgotten. And it was here a long time forgotten, and then got rediscovered in some work that was being done on that wall. This is a door down here. And uncovered the whole Last Supper. Wow.
Can you go back to the last slide, please? Somebody said they didn't read it.
I think it's the 16th chapel.
Though he was mentioning about that line, that how poignant that is.
Oh, yeah, painting is poetry is seen rather than felt.
But it's amazing in life about some of the most amazing painting like that has been forgotten over time. It tells you about the people at that time sort of just forgot about the beauty of that picture. Obviously, we can never imagine like, it's Michelangelo. How could you possibly overpaint a Michelangelo picture and forget it? I mean, it's priceless. But it tells you something about what we value today may not be valued tomorrow. And then someday it may be valued again.
Yeah. You know, with modern things, they can look at painting and see a painting that's underneath it.
Right.
Yeah. And so, you know, Leonardo or whoever paints something, but it just didn't suit him. So he painted something totally different right over it. You know, back then they used a lead stuff, but anyway, you just put like a gesso over it and front of the canvas and you go do something again. And then these things get discovered, and sometimes they're much better than the thing that got put on top of it. Now this is kind of like the perfect balance.
Yes. There is in the middle.
Yep. She's looking right at you. Oh, yeah. Poor Jesus.
Yeah.
He should have refused to sit for these paintings. Jesus might have looked a little like that. I don't think he looked like much like that. These two look like movie actors.
Yes, that's what I thought.
But you know, the blonde, blue-eyed Jesus never was.
Yeah, that drives me crazy when, you know, we turn the rosary on EWTN with Mother Angelica, and they show these images that they come up, and then here's the Blessed Virgin Mary with blonde hair.
Yeah.
I'm going, huh?
Well, they're Semitic people and they weren't very big.
But isn't that's something like that shows something about us? Less than the artist, is that we often try, or the artist also, but I mean, it shows that we often create God in our image.
That's true, but I don't know how far I go with that on this.
Right.
This, when they change it, it's because it's the market.
Right.
Like, try to sell this Jesus.
No, you look like a convict.
Yeah. And he
Get your
definitely
line
was.
up easy.
You know, but if I give him blue eyes and some blonde hair, maybe I could sell it.
Right.
Look at Our Lady of Guadalupe, though. God gave us that portrait of his mother, and she's Middle America, Central American.
Right.
Yeah.
So God says it's okay to imagine Mary in a culture that you're familiar with.
We can't call him wrong. Now this is supposed to be the shroud. But I've seen the shroud before. This has a lot more detail than I remember. Especially eyes.
Yeah, that's just too.
No eyes, no colored eyes.
Right.
Now these are just a variety of ways that over time people have tried to depict Jesus and to depict the holiness. There's quite a variety here.
And by those, I think those still are Western. If you ever seen the African Jesus, he's black.
Yeah.
I mean, or Asian. Asian
Why-
genes, yes,
yeah,
quality
there-
Asian looking.
There's an Asian one here.
There you go.
Uh,
I like this one.
yeah. That's probably very close.
Yeah, it's probably quite closer to Jew, to a Jew.
Yeah,
But
He
here's my,
looks like a rabbi.
yeah.
You know.
They call Jesus rabbi.
Yeah.
And more discussion?
well, I,
Said a little earlier, you weren't all here, I had to stop throwing pots because my hands disagreed with me about it. And so I'm gonna get one for you.
This is from a show that Peter did a few years ago.
I started doing hand building and slump molding. And this was just a very large, irregular, flat piece of clay. I built a little box. And I forced it down into the box. And then when it dries, it shrinks 10%. So it doesn't stick to the box. And then I can, fire it. But, just wanted to Phyllis.
It's interesting how we look at it differently. Centilla saw that differently than I did. I thought that was a tortured human soul. You know, all the fractured and all the
I think it is.
crooked lines, that's how you saw it too. It's like kind of curious sometimes, it's more of an expression how we see life or see a person's soul suffering and hurting. And a while when you're holding upside down, I thought to myself, I'm sure looking like women's hat. I mean, it could be a hat, so I'm thinking.
Well, if you can find a square-headed woman, it'll.
I like to put flowers in it at home.
Yeah, I love it.
I think it looks like a Bronx Rider's hat that didn't,
That could
that
be.
didn't do too well.
He did ride bucking Broncos in this.
No, I wrote bull.
Oh, bulls.
Someday.
Yeah.
My legs are too short to ride bucking Broncos.
Aren't you lucky?
Yeah. This is another slump piece, and I just got, I don't remember what, it's been a few years, I just got something, slumped the clay over it. But in rolling out the clay, I used fabric. I laid the clay on fabric and rolled it out.
That's nice.
You're saying slump? What's the word you're using? Slump?
Fabric.
No, but with the slump clay.
Slump.
Slump, thank you.
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful
Yeah.
texture. Feels like a fabric instead of.
Yeah, it's
Well,
what that's what he
yeah,
said. when I hang it in my-
I've got a box full of little pieces of fabric and lace and stuff like that.
Yes.
Things I throw away.
Give it
So,
texture.
He goes and grabs. Yeah.
Her throwaway doesn't make it all the way to the trash. Or I take mine looking at it.
I'd love to see your garage.
But isn't there an expression of one man's art is another man's treasure? There's something to be said about
One man's
it.
trash.
Trash.
Yeah, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah, so apparently, people are neighbors.
So, but if you come to my garage, all my stuff that's trash is trash.
Yeah, get rid of it.
I will.
nothing is trash, Peter.
Now, this is also hand built.
Cool.
And
Is that metal or?
no, it's
fiber?
ceramic.
Ceramic.
Yeah.
When you light the candle, everything glows.
Would you use a mold for that? when you first
No.
made it?
No, I just flat strip of clay,
Uh-huh.
carve into it,
Cut out the cutouts.
cut out the cutouts and then assemble it to the bottom.
Ah, okay.
But it goes something that shows that you look like you thought it was metal. It's interesting, how we see things differently. I mean, how things are not as it seems.
Yeah.
Are not as it seems. Phil saw that as a metal piece.
Oh.
And it looked like metal.
Christmas.
It could have fooled you as it easily passed as metal versus or ceramic.
No, is that because of the Christmas of the cuts?
Just that and the color, it looks like it's old brass.
Ah, sure, sure.
Well, we're not close.
It's just not so old clay with the glaze on.
Well, it's good job.
If you dropped it, you find out that it's not metal.
But it is beautiful with the candle. We intended to light the candle. I forgot to bring the matches. One of my favorites.
Lots of magic. But it's interesting to know that even sometimes we use art in psychology, the blotter block, you know.
She did a good job of making it look like that.
Yeah.
We always look at it.
I do metal work. I've been a machine.
This piece, a big slab of clay folded up around the balloon. And then, as soon as it's firm enough, you just poke the balloon, and then you can carve your images into it. This one is of particular interest to my cats because we put little cat treats in there. Yeah. And they find them.
That's its function, Father.
But remember, function could also change too, how each person may have a different function for it, may see it differently, usage for it.
And that's one of the tests for creativity they do is give a person, like I said, a standard tool or something, and then see how many things besides what it was designed to do.
Right.
They can do. And a really creative person can have a lot of things for, say, a screwdriver besides being a screwdriver.
Right. With cats, you gotta be careful. They might mistake it as a sandbox.
This is that one you showed.
Is that what you really think about art?
Now,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, I couldn't find this to bring it this morning or last night, but it's not in order, unfortunately, but it's the road from Yachats to Florence. And it's four canvases, they're about like 10 by 12 canvases. And this is actually plaster of Paris and styrofoam.
And that shows the tunnel going to Yachats.
That's the tunnel. This should be first coming here. And then the tunnel, and then another one of these.
Oh, wow.
I do a lot of serious things.
Most of these things are turned into series.
I think the question
That's
is,
When do you, when you're making a painting or a drawing, you say you're sketching it out and stuff. I understand, and I had a friend who was a serious artist and very good. He, long gone now, but when, you know, because he would go and push himself and try to improve it until he just said, I can't do it anymore. You know, I got to put it away. And that was the end of it, you know, of his art. But when
stop completely, you mean?
When is it done? I think his question is, how does a person know when it's done?
when it's done, when you feel
When
like
you put one more of anything on there, it doesn't fit. It's wrong.
and you just say, I've got to put this aside because I can't do any better, or
Yeah,
it's as good as I can get it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gotta
A
be
lot
hard
of
to
times,
do.
if you have somebody that you can have look at it, you know, just a different set of eyes.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But that used to be really frustrating for him, because I remember that he was like, would eat at him because he wanted to do something else.
But you know, it's all in his. It wasn't in his art; it was in his expectations of himself.
Yeah, how he saw it.
Yeah,
So when do you find,
I don't.
you don't,
No,
you
it
just
just
don't
is.
think it looks good?
I stand up and look at it, and it's done. You know, where are we at? So, I love to draw. I didn't draw on anything, anytime. My hands have changed how I draw, but they haven't changed me from drawing.
Very good. You have arthritis?
I have what's called something benign tremor.
Essential tremors.
Something, I can't remember the first word, but some benign tremor.
No.
And every once in a while, I drop crap all the time. But every once in a while, my hand will just do that, you know. I've got a coat down here, and it's sitting on a shelf kind of behind the lake. It's safe there. If I reach for it, it's just out in the open, I might just reach wrong.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna be 79 in a few weeks, so that's all that's worn out on me. I'm not too bad.
Doing all right.
Okay, these are 3 lighthouses done pencil, pen, and colored pencil. I use colored pencil, but I also use water soluble colored pencil, which is a neat thing to use. And I use things in combination, you know, regularly. That's an abstract. I just bought a house built in 1881.
Oh, wow.
And it needed love.
Lots of love.
I was thinking that I was kind of in a mind of kind of outer space right here. Because there was so much to do, and I was so happy to have it. And that's the furniture came. The guy sold me the house for $13,000, which was amazing, right? And then he had every bit of furniture and clothing and everything his parents had had, or he had had, or his brother had, still in the house. And he said, "Oh, I'm selling that for $500." I said, "I'll give you $550." He said, "Okay." So I bought everything in the house. The first thing I did when I get a little organized was I sold the piano and the piano stool for $550. From then on, it was all free.
Free.
And I have some furniture. This was 1973. And I'm still using some furniture from that buy.
Wow. Yeah.
But this is my big overstuffed chair. And box for my wood and my television set. That's a long way. We used to live out on Agate Beach a long time ago, and it didn't look anything like it looks now. It's a great area for going after mussels and a lot of rocks and stuff. It's all sand now. But I picked this rock up. This is really only fit in my hand. And set it in that landscape. So we have the sky, the rock, the ocean.
I got to sort of close it. My eyes aren't what they used to.
All right, watercolor.
It's interesting. It almost looks like you've got geodesic type of monoliths there in mountain background.
Oh, it's a mountain background, but it's actually the Catholic Church in Manchester Taos, which is about 10, 15 miles south of Taos, New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
And this is my version of it. This time I switched all my watercolors, all my paint, to a hot palette about a year ago, 2 years ago. So no burnt siennas, nothing, there's no darkness. I have a couple that are dark, and I'll show you, but this was one version of this, and this is the same church.
Oh, wow.
Just interpret it differently.
It looks like your pictures have a different, it's shaped by your experience where you are at. The Southwest picture, it sounds like you look at the Southwest kind of thing.
Yes.
The Southwest, at least part of the Southwest, I really feel connected to. Is it adobe? And adobe
Right.
is very soft and sensuous stuff. It's not bricks and glass. It's-
Right.
And I really like it. There's a lot of things about New Mexico I like, except it's New Mexico and you get a windstorm every afternoon and, you know, 95 one day, a freezing the next. And I'll stay here. No adobe, but I'll stay here. Yeah, this is a couple of examples of not using my hot palette. These are,
Is that the coast? Look like the ocean.
yeah, that's the
This little
sand.
hill. It looked like very simple, but it's beautiful.
Now that's this one.
Yes.
And then the other one that I did not, this one's a few years old. This one's brand new. It's also not the hot color. And,
The hot colors, you're referring to New Mexico colors.
yeah, reds, oranges, red, purple,
Sienna,
no, cinnamon,
no,
bright greens, oranges, no black. Very limited use of white. The thing with changing colors, like if you're trying to show something, this side's in light and this side's not. Most people think, well, you add a little black into that and that'll make it dark. Actually, you don't. You add the color that's opposite on the color wheel.
Oh,
Make something darker as you turn around the corner to see a squirrel. Here, okay. Yes, that's self-explanatory there. I did that in about 5 minutes, so I think I'm going to keep it.
I love it.
yeah. Did you like it because of the color, Phyllis? It
I
has,
like
looks like
it.
it has a really hot palette, like it says.
I
color.
like that, but I like it because it's a half a face.
Yeah.
And for your imagination, what is that face thinking and what is the other half if you put the other half together?
Right. That's what I thought too. It looks like a big eye.
So it's just, it just spoke to me like deep thinking kind of.
Does it look like a feminine face or no? Because it looks feminine to me with the lips.
I don't know. I didn't think about that.
The color like feminine color.
Well, maybe that's why I like it.
I think the lips give it away. It's feminine.
Yeah.
I just thought, you know, Peter is a deep thinker and I thought this was a deep thinker.
Yeah, from the eyes, it looks like he's really pondering.
Yeah, like he's looking right into your soul.
This is the Acoma Pueblo, the church, from inside the church rather than from outside the church. And there's a big area where they have celebrations and so on. When I was there, it's called Sky City because it's on the top of a big mesa. And it's one of the 2 oldest continuously inhabited buildings in America.
Wow.
The other one is Taos Pueblo. And around 1100 on both of them.
Wow, that's how far long, that's how far back they go, 1100?
1100. There's a road up here now, a kind of dirt road. They built it up on top, mostly to keep the Apaches from killing them. And they had to climb up holes in the rock to get up there, which made it pretty easy to defend. But that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's like, we're talking Spanish conquistadors, you know?
Yeah. It's not very big. Taos is much larger. This is a piece of Taos. I just like the shapes. You know, you kind of blank your eyes. This is really various squares and rectangles shapes. It just looks like a piece of the Pueblo. That's the way I put the shapes together.
I'd like to go there. So I'd like to go there and see it.
Oh, yeah, you can put it, Kit Carson was among other things, a racist, hated Indians, killed a lot of them in America.
Yeah, they were pretty messed up back then.
Yeah. But his house is his house. This is another Pueblo, and this yellow is in the foreground. That's a doorway back to the taller buildings. There's I forget, something like 9 or 11 Pueblos still in this. Huntsville kind of has some things that other places don't have, like there are still Spanish land grants inhabited by people. Over my lifetime, most of them have been sold off. I have no idea what the legal thing is for that. But my first teaching job on the reservation, I also had some Spanish descendant students who lived on the land grant. And nobody owns any particular thing, everybody owns everything. So you can't carve off the chunk and say it's just yours or you're going to sell it. I said northern New Mexico. I don't know that it's known for its fruit. The people outside of Mexico know that much. But it has tremendous fruit growing area in the north of the states, all along the rivers, and apples and chilies. And if you want to have some fun, either read or go see the movie Malago Beanfield War.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably Hopi, but not positive. Ruins in Arizona.
Beanfield Ward? Or no? That thing.
That
This one?
Yeah.
Where was this? This is New Mexico.
no, that's Arizona.
Oh, this is.
That's a sunset. That's northern New Mexico. These are all watercolors.
This is
Yeah, I'll get that one.
a beautiful thing. That's okay. You can see the emblem. Thank you.
This one. Those are mountains, with the river running past the bottom.
And this is in New Mexico?
This is in my imagination.
Okay. Oh, that's a good destination.
Imagining a lot of my hair.
Usually about midnight, everything falls out.
This title of this is Sailboat. Look very, very, very carefully. You can see that little white sailboat out there.
It's going to be a magnifier for me.
You can see it on the table there. Yeah, I was thinking. I'll show this one. Yeah. Oh, talked a lot about wood sculptures already, but we can just go through the slides. Nothing.
There she is.
There she is, she's hot.
She's hot. Now,
What is that blue thing? What was that?
what's what?
The blue thing on that, what you said was found objects.
Oh, the next one.
No, the next one.
The one that likes
And this
Blue
turquoise.
dots, the turquoise.
This?
Yeah. Do you think that?
That's many times run over hubcap.
Okay, okay, yeah, okay. But what's the turquoise?
It's paint.
Yeah.
So, as far as the terminology collage, would that, you consider those collage?
No. Paper.
Oh, okay, but I'm trying to search for the name of the thing that they're called these boxes.
Construction, is it?
Pardon?
Construction, is it?
No, it was another terminology for.
If you find it, let us know.
Okay, conveying,
This is a piece of wire fencing. This is the face of an electric box. I just found out in the desert. I used to walk in it when we moved to California. We first lived in Palmdale because we thought it was a place with palm trees. The Germans who originally settled that territory back in the 1800s thought Joshua trees were palm trees. So we had a lot of Joshua trees and no palm trees. But anyway, the flight path for the shuttle Atlanta was right over our house. And many times heard boom, boom, as it came into land. But these were things I just found out walking around in the desert. And I never pick up anything already. Well, I shouldn't say that. Mostly, I'm not picking up something else already in mind. I'm just picking it up. It's good.
So on your walks, you just take a big backpack or something?
I took my dog.
Yeah.
Okay, the three pieces leaning on the wall is part of my robot series. There's also flying saucer that goes with it, that couldn't be done here. It was in Space Invasion, which these days might have been a good idea. The first one is titled Majesty.
Which one? The pink one? Okay.
The metal one is Chronalization. And the last one is Persuasion.
What was the one right here? The one with the circuit board?
Yeah, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that called?
I think I might have gotten it wrong, actually. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Generalization.
Generally.
Very puny.
Yeah. These are, these pieces right here, they're actually plastic lids off a paint tube. And I just poured plaster of Paris in to get this mold to get these. The same thing with these figures. There's the general. I have a den on my house where I hang a lot of my art, and I painted a big mural on it. And we had a terrible storm, blew the roof off, destroyed that wall. Just destroyed it. So this is my new wall and my new mural, and I just have the painting some in the mural.
Oh, cool. Yeah, good idea.
It's really beautiful.
Oh, you know, I forgot that one last thing. Yeah. In the old Spanish culture, there were people at Easter who practiced self-immolation and crucifixion, called the penitentes. It was outlawed by the state when I was a kid. It was outlawed by the Catholic Church. There were still people, particularly in the north of the US, was very remote. It's hard to keep because of that. No matter where you are, you're in the middle of nowhere. But this is, you can see three penitentes. Yeah, that's the penitentes. I only saw them once, and I was really young. My father, who was in northern West Virginia, went down this, I don't know, maybe we were fishing or something. We went down this back road and we encountered them. We just waved on, and it was kind of scary.
Yeah. Are they tied up to the cross? Or?
Yeah, they tied. Like I say, I've never actually seen
I
it.
think it still goes on in Mexico all the
Oh, it might, yeah. And they had another thing they did, I can't remember, they would go from the church, they go from wherever, to the church, and they would flagellate themselves all the way.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
they,
We still do that in the
They do that
Philippines.
Europe
In the
too.
Philippines, right? People do that.
In Europe, I think that they.
It's called puasa.
The Catholic
It's not
Church got together
outlawed.
and said, you
It's
got
not-
to stop this.
yeah, people-
They're not forcing you, you're the
Right,
one.
it's
Yeah.
a choice.
It's like a promise,
It's like what?
a promise, like panata. You promise to do that in order to, like you did something wrong. It's your way of
Penance.
penance.
Yeah, it's an extreme that the Vatican does not approve of.
Okay, all of this comes out of this little spot.
Is that your shop?
That's my studio. The shop is half of my garage.
Yeah.
And the studio's now changed to more like this.
This is my side, and that's Phyllis's side. Okay.
Are you an artist too?
Peter.
Yeah, she was one of my students.
Yeah, I see how that works.